Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a happy Sunday. Let me turn down my Spotify a little bit. There we go. Hopefully it's not too annoying. I think I'm gonna try to add a little bit of music. Yeah, so I'm still working on my website as of today. And let me go back to my tablet. I was gotta make sure that my channel is showing correctly. That is the weird thing with my YouTube on my tablet. It decides that it just doesn't want to show the live stream, even though I am live. Let's try this again. There we go. All right, we're good now. Still getting used to some of this live stream setup. So I am currently still working on my website, the DeepFeedAI. Currently have Here, I'm actually going to turn my music down all the way. So right now I am working on adding a story component. The idea is that I want to group articles that have been created by my AI writers into stories. So I have this section over here that I'm currently working on. Let's open up our terminal. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably gonna turn the music off. It's getting a little annoying. All right, go back to my terminal over here. Let's see. Let's see where I left off with the tool. So I was just sitting in alongside, move them to a new branch. Here's what's already there. Okay, so I currently have a not found, and it didn't do the sorry, excuse me, the navigation menu. And what I do is I'm going to grab this error over here. Copy console. We come back over here. Bugs. What I like to do is when there's an issue, I like to say bugs, and then I'll do a numerical indicator, and then I'll say bugs, that's 1, and I'm going to say no nav menu, and then I'll also say 2, and then I'll say console error, and then I'll paste that there. So I'm trying to make it where users can follow stories. So there's going to be like a timeline. So as articles get created, ideally you should see a nice visual representation of what's going on with the story. So it could be something about OpenAI specifically, but you're going to be able to see a timeline. I feel like that is going to be a nice killer feature for the website for you to track a story. And that's going to be separate from the pulse. The pulse is a little bit more broad as far as a category. So you'll be able to follow different things on the site. So it's not just writers. You'll also be able to save articles, but you'll be able to follow a broad pulse of a story, and then individual stories as well is the idea that I'm looking at. Okay. Let it do its thing. And I will go to let me go to the front end site. Let me close some of this stuff over here. And what actually happened to what happened to my little stream avatar guy? Give me 1 second. I was having these little stream avatars that I was trying to add. Let's see. It's about to plug in. Set this monitor. Okay, and let's connect. Go back to OBS. There we go. So little avatar guys that I have at the bottom of the screen now. So if you do pop into the stream, you should get an avatar, I believe. We'll see. There's a nice little visual indicator too. Okay. Here is the main site over here. I've even added a video section, which, okay, of course, now there's an issue loading that, so I'll have to figure that out. Oh, well, because this is local. So let me go to the live site. So I've added a video section. So this is a way for me to manually add videos that I think will be interesting for my end users. It's something that's done on the back end. I am looking to see what I can do potentially for videos automatically being added. But right now, what I'm just using is my YouTube API key, and I have a backend discovery feature. So I can find YouTube videos and then I can save them, and then they'll be underneath the appropriate category. So if there's things that I think are interesting, worth sharing with the community, I can add these videos, and you just click on it, and all it is the video itself. There's nothing extra as far as the AI agent. Maybe I'll add like a summary or something because it can grab the YouTube captions. But I think that's really cool that you can, have a YouTube video and you can look at it directly through the site. So, so that will be something that hopefully does get built up as I add more professional videos. And give me 1 second. I'm just going to completely disable my whole Spotify situation because I don't need that. I was trying to do something a little extra today. All right, I'm coming back to the terminal. It's just working to fix the page. Let's go back. Let's see, is anything fixed there yet? Not yet. While it's doing that, let's take a look at the pitches. And this is going to be locally. Bitcoin breaks 87K. I may have shown this yesterday. So let's go to the live site. Let's go to portal. Let's go to, there's one pitch. Edge AI and LLMs in high stakes environments, a new frontier for research acceleration. This article provides a concrete example of how large language models, Edge and Edge AI are being structurally optimized to accelerate real-time analysis, decision-making in a specialized high-stakes research domain, directly extending or understanding of AI superpower implications. And right now it only has one source, which is why it is flagged. So I could enrich the sources. So that's again where I click that button, and I can take the article as is and just do search. And then this is where I can try to find articles that might align with that. So the future of Edge in 2027, right? 2026, industrial edge, computing and edge AI. So I might grab a couple of these. And then ingest selected. And now that has three sources. So I really don't want the article right now, but at least it does have three sources. I'm going to go to editorial. And these are going to be things that did not pass the threshold for automatic publication. So let's take a look at some of these stories. AI's material footprint, the unseen cost of accelerated research. And then these are the editor notes here. Previous work. Previous article should be removed. Now, some of these I might need to update because I do want my writers to reference their previous posts. And so some of the prompt has not been updated based off my latest work. Post statement from Scale AI development. Supercycle defies war's inflammatory drag. Let's take a look. The echoes of conflict from the Iran war are reverberating through global energy markets, manifesting directly at the American gas pump and driving off the cost of living. Yet, in a striking economy, the U.S. economy managed a respectable 2% growth. Yada, yada, yada. Doesn't really seem to be AI focused. So I'm going to go ahead and reject this one. Crypto conundrum. 2% GDP. Really don't care about that. Sounds like crypto's future reality. This looks to be a story on Elon Musk. Really don't care. The AI canvas. The era of merely fixing photos with AI is officially behind us. Imagine effortlessly generating a childhood versus present look photo, blending your past self with your current reality in a single evocative image. This isn't a futuristic fantasy. Blah, blah, blah. Apple is planning a major revamp for iOS, iPad, and macOS, leveraging AI to extend, enhance, and reframe images. This one seems interesting. Let's see what the editor notes are. Complete piece, conclusion feels. The flow is generally good, but should have seen the general AI trend. I'm okay with this as is. So I'm going to go ahead, approve, and publish. Xbox Dual Play. Let's come in down here. Hold on to your controllers, fellow gamers. Xbox is rolling out a wave of updates that aren't just about looking good, though it certainly is, but fundamentally changing how we interact with our games. We're seeing a dual evolution, a vibrant new visual identity, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Control film was a bit niche. I think this one's good. It's already 8 out of 10. Not sure why it came back to the editor. 1 second. All right, let's go ahead and approve and publish that one, because we can always unpublish. Okay. Let me come back to my terminal here. Looks like it has finished the code changes. Fix the nav menu, fix the 404. Let's come back to our local deployment. Let's do a refresh. Let's go to stories. And there's still no, but it did fix the error. So it does have the nav menu. Let's see, is it finished? Let's do an inspect. Let's go to the console. And then we're going to go ahead and copy the console. Come back to our terminal. Why is this? Hold on 1 second. Weird. There we go. All right, come back over to the terminal. Okay, well, I'll just say what's next, because maybe it didn't finish. Two tracks ready to ship, move stories to their own branch, PR, next phase, new story creation model, and backfill. Yeah, so it's not finished yet. Commit PR. Commit and PR, and then move on to the, and move on to the next phase. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move it on to the next phase. And I'm going to come back over to production over here. Let's go to my articles. There's the Xbox Dual Play that has been generated. And the week AI drew lines defining humanity, sovereignty, and accountability in a digital world. All right, let's go back to the home page. And then here are, so what you're seeing right here, I have these, the featured articles on a, okay, yeah, this is on a rotation. So basically this will always change depending on a certain threshold. Articles can automatically be featured, and I do have editor picks as well. Here, Xbox Dual Play, a new look and deeper control, reshape the gaming experience. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Hold on to your controllers, fellow gamers. Xbox is rolling out a wave of updates that aren't just about looking good, though it certainly is, but fundamentally changing how we interact with our games. We're seeing a dual evolution, a vibrant new visual identity, paired with powerful function upgrades that put more control directly into our hands and dramatically expand where and how we play. So a refreshed logo. not prominently featured across dynamic backgrounds, blah, 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 blah. This isn't just a cosmetic refresh, strategic refinement, making it more accessible, seamless. And these are all AI images that are created for the article. So based off the article length, it will create X number of images. Now, what I might end up doing is replace this with an actual image of the logo. Obviously, this is not it. This is a concept. Now players can actively manage and prioritize which games benefit from instant access, pinning up to 2 titles for lightning fast loading. The expansion of Xbox Cloud Gaming, 40 new streamable titles added to the library, including popular indie darlings and beloved classics. The Steam stream your own game feature, which allows Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers to stream any game they own on Xbox directly from the cloud to virtually any device. Oh, that's interesting. See over your game over. How. And this is linked to a previous article that this writer, and it's Lucas, double check to make sure it is Lucas. So they'll have a link to their previous articles as well. So self-referential. All right. I could probably improve on the article layout a little bit more. And then I have these dig deeper links at the bottom. Then again, you can click on it and it's just going to give you some output. Now let's go to the pulse. And so now this has become a pulse item. So these are several stories that are kind of grouped in a cluster. It's not just one story. So if you want to follow what's going on with the Xbox ecosystem, you can follow this overall story, this overall pulse. And you can click this catch up button right here. This is an AI prompt that's going to try to condense all of those stories underneath this. And you can get a quick little, based off all those stories, what's happening. Right now, it says Xbox is currently rolling out a fresh brand identity alongside crucial user centric updates, including dynamic backgrounds, expansive cloud gaming, and granular quick resumes control. Now, of course, it's just one story, but think of it being very helpful if there are several stories that you can quickly catch up on what's happening in that pulse. You can then follow it as well. And if I come over here to my profile, I can then see underneath following, and I can see I'm following these different topics in the posts. So you can follow writers and you can follow topics. Eventually, you're going to be able to follow stories as well. Let's see, any stories yet? No stories. Because stories have to have like a certain cluster of articles that were created that are grouped together. And you can see all these images. These are like Pixar inspired images. That's because of the designer that I have on the background. She has a certain style. That's why these kind of look similar. Let's take a look at this AI canvas editing memories. Oh, that's cool. Nice. How will Google TV's new YouTube Shorts integration specifically leverage these AI photo and video editing features? Google TV's new YouTube Shorts feed will likely create a seamless loop where users can quickly edit photos and videos using the built-in AI tools, then directly upload or share them as shorts. This integration aims to encourage content creators and sharing directly from the living room, making dynamic short-form video more accessible for everyday users. Nice. All right, cool. Let's go back to, all right, 3PRS open, backfill. Let's proceed. Why does this keep Give me 1 second. Avatar thing is supposed to stick. There we go. Weird. And it might be because it's not in the foreground. Is that why? All right, give me 1 second. Oh, because I didn't add stream avatars to this scene. That's why. There we go. 1 second. I gotta. And I also didn't add it to my terminal. I thought I did. Let's see. Stream avatars. There we go. Because when I was going back and forth, I did not add my little stream avatars thing. So now you can see the little guy going back and forth. Okay. Where was I? It is still working on the stories. Let me come back, do a refresh. New story. Oh, nice. And it already thought ahead, so I can add my own stories. I think about it as being a folder. Then I can search for articles. And I don't think I have anything. Well, this is locally, so I'm not going to have anything for this yet. Let me go to production backend. I haven't pushed this yet. I haven't pushed it to main yet. And I want to be able to backfill my stories since this is a feature that I'm adding and I already have a bunch of stories and articles that have been created. I want to be able to backfill it. So hopefully I can go ahead and get started is the idea. Yeah, because what I ended up doing last night, I was like, hey, tell me one killer feature that would be good for engagement on this site. And it came up with the whole story concept. So that's a good way to talk to these AI tools and agents is ask them, hey, what's a killer feature? Sorry. All right. Okay, so it says it's done. Let's just go ahead and PR and merge into main. It's a small site. There's not much activity happening, and I have my main branch tagged anyway, so I have no problem with like just pushing into main. As my site hopefully ends up getting more traffic, I'll be a bit more careful. But right now, I'm doing testing locally. I have a stage environment as well, and I do have main. Now, the site itself, the way that it runs, I have a front end, back end, and I also have a multi-tenant repository as well. So I use Railway for the back end. That's where, as an administrator, you can come in and manage your own tenant, and that's where you do all the story management. For the front end, where your users and subscribers will be actually reading your stories, that's hosted on Vercel because it's a static front end website. The database is going to be PostSQL. And that's only database that I'm using right now. What else? What else? What else? What else? And I'm working on a product marketing website, web page as well. So you'll be able to get more information about the actual application, including adding a documentation site. So planning on making it open source so you can self-host this. But for a SaaS solution, I'm gonna have a multi-tenant environment where users can log in. It's going to be a shared database, but it's going to be separated by that tenant ID. So your logs, all your users, all that stuff will be separated, and any sensitive information will be encrypted at rest. Okay, so it says it is merged. Let's go take a look. Let's do a refresh. Should have deployed by now. All right, so we have our stories. No stories found. So let's go ahead and try this with a backfill. It'll create one story, AI video generation. Let's go ahead and create that. Let's click done. And there's three stories: The Ghost of Pompeii, The Wild West of Pixels. It seems to be the exact same thing as the Pulse. Let's go ahead and do a refresh on the front end. Quiet concluded all. Okay, so I don't see it on the front end. So and it says active, but I'm not seeing it on the front end. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk back to Claude. I see I backfilled and only see one story, and the title of the story is the same as. Actually, let me double check. Let me go back to the Pulse. What I say it was? AI video generation. AI video tools. Now I'm thinking I might need to add a search here. There was something with Pompeii that I know I saw. Video audio transmitter 10%. I might need to charge this in a moment. Poly market. That's interesting. There was something with Pompeii. Double check. The Ghost of Pompeii, The Wild West of Pixels, The Animated Heart. Story. And this is where looks like I can add my own stories, but let's just focus on right now. There's a story. Okay. One story. And it's called AI video generation. I only see it on the back end under active. I don't see it on the front end. Let it try to figure out what's going on there. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to go to studio mode. Okay. Turn Spotify back on. Try to figure out what's going on here. Okay. Let my phone charged too. That's about to die. But luckily, these mics, DJIs, they charge really fast. I think I put it on a USB-C charger in 5 minutes, and it charged it up to 40%. So if I have to, I can just go mute for a little bit while I charge this. Listen to a little Spotify roll. It's a free playlist here. But yeah, I'm trying to see what's the difference between stories and pulses. Right now, they seem very similar. But in stories, they have a life, essentially a life beat. So after 7 days, a story can die, is the idea. So, but they can also be reopened. So you might have a story that just goes stale after 7 days, but you also can have a story that is like very hot, is the idea. So I'm just hoping to get this, so I can see what that the cards and the timeline looks like. Behind me, you got my whiteboard. That's where I pretty much do a lot of my brainstorming. I use like little swim lanes, and I have these magnetic cards. Matter of fact, hold on. Yeah, so I just have these magnetic cards that go on the board. Then I just make the swim lanes. So as I'm thinking about my website, I just kind of write down things that I want to accomplish, or what phase is it in. It just makes it just more visually a roadmap. So again, even though these tools are creating the code, you get to be an architect. You get to really plan out and think about your website. I haven't done like the 24/7 agent thing where you just let it run nonstop and make all the updates. I'm gonna play around eventually with Hermes. I think that's supposed to be the successor to OpenClaw. What I'm hearing, a lot of people are starting to migrate towards that. But right now, I'm still very hands on for the most part. I will let it run overnight. Like I'll give my agent or the LLM a task such as Claude Code. Hey, do a code review. Make sure that there's no tenant leakage, like log files and data. I'll let it do those things overnight, but I'm still very much, I'm not letting it fully just manage it 24/7 yet. I'm probably going to get there, but I still want to make sure I'm using these tools correctly. And put these back on the board. And again, what I do is my OpenClaw is on a virtual machine. Well, not. Well, I'm not using OpenClaw. I'm using Claude Code, but it's on a Linux virtual machine in my Proxmox environment. So what I do mostly, I just SSH into it. Sometimes I'll use VS Code. Sometimes I'll use Claude Code, the desktop app, because you can SSH into your other machines directly through it. You just need to make sure that you're using a private key that doesn't require a password, essentially. So that way it doesn't have to authenticate, because I don't think you can like put in a password through SSH in Claude Code, at least not that I've seen. Um, for some reason, VS Code, it will time out on me for some reason. I don't know why. So mostly what I do is for my project, because this is consisting of multiple repositories, I have a singular folder on my remote machine that I put all the repos in, and then I do the Claude resume dangerously skip permissions. You do the dangerously skip permissions so it doesn't prompt you every single time for follow-ups. You can tell it, hey, just go do this, and it's going to do every single step. Of course, the issue is that if it has admin or root permissions, it can install software or do things that you don't expect. Like yesterday, I told it to restart the app or restart the server, and it's what I meant to tell it was to restart the application, but it restarted the actual full server, which is why you don't want to put these things ideally on your everyday machine. You want to put it in some type of isolated environment. Okay. A professionally lives and never defined in the public front. Okay, it was never defined in the public front end. Okay, all right. Let's go back to our site. Do the pulse. Do the refresh. Go to stories. All right, so here is the story. There's this weird thing here. Nice. And so this is obviously a very simple version of it, but this is the idea of a story that I want users to be able to come in and see how a story itself is developing. I would say this is more of a pulse, to be absolutely honest, and not an individual story. And then we have this weird, let's see, let's inspect this. Story card has, let me just grab the whole thing. Then I'm going to copy this element. And I'm going to say this feels more like a pulse. Bugs. I'm going to go over here. So one, this feels more like a pulse. Two, weird characters in the card. Let me come back over to the card. Oh, it feels like the card. Themes, there is an improperly closed HTML element. I can see the closing in the card. Title. Well, in the card. What else? And then I'm gonna say, here's the pulse. Well, here is the story. These seem like entirely separate articles. All right, and let it review that to see if it's able to figure it out. I feel like I have so much content, there should be a specific story that's here. This definitely feels like a pulse. But while it's doing that, let's at least come back in, because there's two views. You have the timeline and then the digest view. To drag or scroll to explore. And if this is longer, I guess you could, let's see. Yeah, so you could drag this if it was like very long. Then we get the story here. Nice. I do like this little pop out over here, so you can look at each story, or at least each article in this story. The Ghost of Pompeii, The Wild West of Pixels, Animated Heart. So I do like it. Probably want the image not to be so large, obviously, but I do like this timeline view or digest view. Or is this a timeline and this is the digest? Weird. But I like this. And then we see that latest story. And then you can still always access the live feed. So I do like that overall. All right, let's come back over here. And again, these are just going to be based off of articles that have been created. So maybe I want to look into my feed. I'm not sure. The story's rail header uses the exact same pulsing green dot and developing label as the live news indicator, visually indistinguishable from the hot strip. Needs a distinct story indicator. Not sure if that bug one makes sense, or at least what it's going to do. By top attack, which is a loose keyword, these share the tag AI vendor but are unrelated events. The story page displaying them correctly. It's the source data that's wrong. Maxwell's summary generation is fire and forget, so it still may be running. Delete that story in the admin and tighten the backfill minimum, or just wait for the summary. Oh, you know what? I know what's happening here. My Sorry, I didn't notice my automatic scene switcher was switching back to my camera. I do like it in OBS, but I had it set where if I'm not on a specific window, that it's automatically going to switch back to my camera, which is why I kept jumping back and forth. Definitely let me know if the music is annoying. I'm just trying something different. There we go. I like my DJ Osmos, that it can do the facial tracking, which is nice. Okay. Looks like a pull strip, animated green dot removed, header name following stars of the book icon to a left, not a bug. Okay, it said it's shift, it's archived is it's created by background not lose maximum. See if it does run the story page shows it in generally separate articles. I won't say this one. Delete it and the backfoot movement can be raised to the feature. Okay. Let's go back to the backside. Refresh. Let's archive the story. Archive story not found. Uh-huh. Excuse me. I think I got another one. No, okay. Okay, it's gonna fix that so I can archive the story. And it might just be one of the things that I just need to let this sit for about a week as more stories are being written. Hopefully, that it will curate the story. So maybe just a lot of these just are not specific enough because these are actually very broad. Some of these articles are just very broad. Let's see. Do I have a pitch? That's by Amara and the other editor notes. Okay. I'm going to go to my feed inbox. I'm just going to let it work in the background for a minute. I think I need to update my feed inbox too. It takes a little bit to update. Mission policy close to home. OpenAI updates ChatGPT privacy policy to introduce ad tracking via cookies. How to opt out. In fact, let's do an OpenAI. Startups, small teams. So maybe let's see if we can create our own story. Let's see. Let's come in here. New story. We'll say Musk versus OpenAI. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, so I'm adding it there. And these are from my feed inbox, I believe. Join stop new. Okay, I probably have to work on my search. Okay, so this is a story with 3 articles. Let's do a refresh. Musk versus OpenAI. Not sure why it chose this image. Okay, I do like that. And then these are based off feed sources. So I do must confirm to use spin. Nice. So that's not too bad. It gives you a little history so you can create your own story, which I do like. You can create it by yourself, and then you can bring in not just articles you've created, but also stuff from the feed inbox, which I think is really great. Channel is fast approaching, stakes are high, then click on that. Face blah, blah, blah. And then the full article. This should be an external link, so that is a bug. Yeah, that's a bug. Okay. Let's come back over here to the video generation. See, can we archive it now? All right, so it's archived. Okay. Bug. All right, well, first I say that fixed it. Next, bugs. 1. It looks like I can manually create a story with sources from the feed inbox. However, the links on the front end try to link to articles instead of the external link. 2. Are stories automatically created from just articles or also the feed inbox? That appears to be valuable info that we could use. How does archiving, well, actually just stick there. 3, the image on the side panel is very large for the stories. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll see. But I do like that fact that I can come in and create my own story. And you can add resources on there. I might create another story. Xbox. And here's a bug. I should be able to add multiple stories from here. Say Xbox Cloud, create the story, Xbox. Okay, so here's a story about Xbox. Come back in, go to my stories. Xbox rebrand explain. Kills Microsoft Gaming, goes back to Xbox. Nice, I like this. And then yeah, you can just look at it like that's actually pretty cool. That is very that's a good timeline. I need to fix the coloring or the theming. So yeah, just need to flesh this out a little bit more, but as far as a story, and I can add it myself, I do like that. Excuse me. Might want to be able to add an AI generated image to the story as well. This is a developing story. This developing story. And this is an archive story. So stories can't archive after 7 days, but I've done this myself. I might want to be able to delete a story entirely as well. Yeah, but this is a good way to be able to follow a story. Just need to fix this link so if it's an external link that you'll go to the external site for that. All right, let's pop back over here. And yeah, and every day again, I'm trying to think more like a newsroom and how do you follow stories. So I'm always thinking about something differently of how I can make the site more unique, so you can get the information, the news that you want, just different visual styles as well. And so I'm constantly talking to my AI agent, or hey, what's a killer feature? What's one thing that I can do to make this site more unique or engaging for readers? And I just determine whether or not that's an idea that I want it to follow up on. Again, the days of me coding are gone. Like, and I haven't been a coder for over a decade anyway. I do mostly scripting when I need to, just to help with my regular day-to-day operations. But I do software security analysis, so I'm reviewing source code. I can do that with automated tools as well as with manual review to help developers understand what things they need to fix in their code as far as remediation and triage and things like that. Yeah, because being a developer, like when I was doing it well over a decade ago, it's more than 40 hours, and I was just getting burnout. I was a one-man crew, essentially. I didn't have a lot of team members that would that were hungry or engaged or wanted to do or learn new things. So I'm always like a jack of all trades. So I'm always learning new things. But the problem of that is when you're in a corporate environment, what's happening is they're taking advantage of the fact that you enjoy learning and growing, and you end up wearing just way too many hats. So you go from being a developer to being a system administrator to being a repository administrator. Being a security analyst for your team because you enjoy learning these things. It's not necessarily what they dedicated time and effort into you. So you're doing way beyond your job and the scope of your job. And more often than not, I always fell into that category because technology is just very interesting for me. Like there's always so many different things that you can do, but you can easily get burnt out, especially when you don't have team members that share that drive, that share that hunger. So yeah, I just ended up getting burnt out on development also because you're doing the same thing over and over again, just in another language. Like I can't tell you how many hello worlds I had to keep doing over and over again. The last language that I really dived into was Python. When I find because I came from a C++, C background, so coming to Python, a language that was not strongly typed, um, it just made it a lot easier, right? You didn't have to do a lot of that boilerplate stuff over and over again. Python just, it can figure out the different types. Of course, you can get runtime errors and everything like that, but I just really enjoyed Python. That's the last language I really, really dived into. So I never really got into Golang. I never really got into Angular. I can use JavaScript or code JavaScript if I sat down and did it. But by that time, I was just burnt out on development. I was tired of doing the same thing over and over again. And this was during the explosion of all the JavaScript frameworks, and you just could not keep up. Every week, one of our developers wanted to bring in a new JavaScript library that is just reinventing the wheel. And then you have to make sure that it is secure. And your other developers then have to learn that JavaScript framework. And it just got tiring and got boring and it got frustrating. So eventually I ended up moving over to being a full-time security analyst. So I didn't have to develop code anymore. It helps that I know how to develop and I know how to read code. So when it comes to a security review, I can have that conversation with developers, right? And so I also got to see like how developers were coding across different organizations and different teams. So I still got to stay up to date in a way, but honestly, becoming a security analyst slash engineer was one of the best decisions that I made in my career because it allowed me to broaden my horizon without having to get stuck in tutorial hell with development, right? Like I didn't have to keep learning a new language over and over and over and over and over again, right? So bit of a tangent. All right. So anyway, let's go back to the code. Let's see. Feed inbox links, 2 layers of the problem. Sadly included curated items and didn't select source domain. So didn't include curated now. Source label appearance stories, and the front end uses the view backfill currently only clusters published articles. Feed inbox items are not included. Those are 20 raw sources. Won't trigger a story unless 3, since that's other does not contain. Does contain valuable signals. Title public that could be who you want to be. Yes. What was fixed? Oh, okay. I already fixed these. So merge into. Oh. Update the backfill to include curated sources. How does this impact the archiving? Because I do have it set up an automation where it can automatically archive curated sources. Those are just things that are pulled in from either your RSS feed or discovered sources. So I think it's like after, well, I'm not even gonna say I think. Let's go here to our settings. Let's go to our content. And here's the content lifecycle. So after 30 days, archive articles older than 30 days. So I'm not sure if this works on, let's see if this works on curated items. So if I go back to my newsroom and I go to my dashboard, I can see my feed articles are over 5,000, and that's just going to continue to grow. So we'll have to see. So I think what should happen is if the feed source is not used in an article, it should be purged after 30 days. Now, let's say I have an article or a story or a pulse that uses something from the feed inbox, then we should keep that up for maybe 90 days, I guess, maybe. We'll see. Time based on like that. That doesn't change curious stories. Curious stories created by backfill start with if no writer publishes about that topic within 7 days goes dormant. Let's fix the story exists. The moment writer publishes on that topic. As the article snaps the story back to active once on the article count one click. So the story cards will show a higher count. This count is technically accurate, but users might be surprised. Worth noting. Okay, we'll see. I think I need to improve the cleanup because there's no reason to keep things in the feed sources if they're never used, or the feed inbox if they're never used. Story cards would now include curious story. If I such fulfill feeds to this nature matters on the UI, you can split the count later with an else in the story. All right. Merge into stage and main. All right, I'm gonna let this charge for about a good like 5 minutes. I think you should be. Oh, looks like you should still be able to hear me. Wonder how good that sounds. Because the Osmo, I guess it has a built-in microphone, but I'll let the actual DJI 2 mic charge for a moment. Okay. View original link from feed inbox. Cap that. All right. Let's come back over. I might need to archive this Xbox one. Let's go back to our stories. Right, looks like we can't delete archive stories. Ooh, wait a minute. Okay. Remove all these. Refresh. All right, then there's nothing in the Xbox story. Okay, and refresh. Hey, Hardy. Flash. Oh, doing good. Just working on my website here. Currently called DeepFeedAI. Probably going to change the name, but it's just my automated AI newsroom, essentially, is what it is. And I'm just trying to find ways to automatically create articles as well as seeing how I can create stories, so stories that users can follow. So that's the feature that I'm working on right now. Xbox Cloud. And so this is a view of different internal stories. That's a link there. This is supposed to be an external link, so I'm not sure what's happening there. But you can. The idea is that you can like follow a developing story as it's and you can see it on a timeline. So right now I manually created a story about Xbox Cloud gaming, and you can see this little timeline about what's going on. Microsoft kills. Microsoft Gaming goes back to Xbox. New logo is very green. Blah blah blah. But I'm trying to make it in a way where it's not just articles that you can see because they are all created by my AI agents. So I come over here. These are all stories that are automatically created because what I do is I use RSS sources. I can also discover stories manually. My agents can pitch articles, and these will be created. And these are all using AI imagery as well to create the thumbnail. So this featured section, this automatically rotates because my articles have different scoring. So when you come in, you might see a featured article or 4 editor picks for the day. Just depends. Then I come in, here's my AI writer, Lucas, and then this is just an entirely generated article. And I wanted to make sure that these sources were actually attributed, so you will have links to the actual sources throughout the article. This is an AI image right here, and this as well. If you come down to the bottom, you can see all the sources. So I wanted to make sure that this is definitely acknowledge that this is an AI site, but it tries to condense the information, but you can still see the sources. And then you have this dig deeper feature at the bottom where you can ask questions about the article. You don't ask a question, it's a pre-filled situation there. Turn down my Spotify a little bit. So yeah, so right now I'm just working on these stories. I do have this pulse section here. The pulse, this is a broad category of articles that fall into a specific type of grouping. So I imagine if I let over like maybe a month, this should make more sense because you can follow a different, it's a higher than a story, right? A story is going to be a very specific situation, but this is going to be a broad topic. But you can see articles that fall underneath this broad topic, and then this is an AI button where you can say, "Hey, catch me up on what's happening in this pulse," and it's just going to hopefully summarize everything that's happening there. This is one story, but say if it's 10 stories or articles, you can get just an overall catch up situation of what's happening there. So. Yes. I'm not. Yeah. Is AI going to take your job as a developer? Yes. As a junior developer, I'm not sure your level or skill set. Junior developer role is definitely something. So you have to put your mindset in. Put your mindset in your boss, upper manager, CEO. What are they always trying to do? They're trying to cut costs, right? And applications are being developed faster than ever. So if you're saying you can have an AI tool that can do the job of a junior developer, and mind you, these tools can self-review, and then you can also have this set up in some type of automation pipeline. I would say as a junior developer, your job is in danger. Now, companies are still having issues with like firing developers and then having to rehire them because it's still in the early stages. But I'm talking about, think 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. I haven't been a developer in a decade. This has made developing applications fun again. So, from a developer perspective, I say learn to use this as an assistant because it's just gonna help you make things faster. It's still good to have the understanding like development in general because these tools do have issues or have problems and you do need to debug it sometimes or there might be a small fix that you can quickly do, but From a leadership perspective, oh, 1,000%. Because remember, you can have these tools work overnight. These tools don't need a 401k. They don't need holidays. They don't need breaks. Companies are going to take the risk of being able to have these things create code very fast and then deal with the ramifications later. I'm just learning backend, so instead of watching tutorials, I should try to learn. Yes, tutorials are good. Tutorials are good as far as like if you've never used it before, but like anything, you have to make it personal for you. So you need to try to develop something. So utilizing these tools is going to make it click, because you can go through 1,000 tutorials. Everybody teaches differently. And until you learn your workflow, you're just watching somebody else's workflow, right? So don't get stuck in tutorial hell, in my opinion. I would say if you haven't used these tools, maybe watch a quick 5-minute video to understand what you can do with it, but then you have to get your hands on it. I always learn more by loading up a virtual machine and playing with these AI tools, because the biggest thing that you're going to have to understand is token management and the cost of these AI tools. I spent easily $300 to $400 the first time I was using Claude, because I did not understand, because I was using it with OpenClaw. Because OpenClaw, it can run autonomously 24/7, but you can burn AI tokens very quickly, which is why now I have it do little jobs or tasks so I can manage it. And then you understand what models to use. So that's going to be the biggest thing if you haven't played around with these AI tools, is understanding how many tokens are being used and what models are appropriate for the job that you're going to do, because different models cost different amounts, and it's just crazy. It's insane. But yeah, get your hands on the tools. Just think about something that you want to create. Start with something simple. Start with a to-do list, right? Or start with something that would make your life easier. To-do lists are like the simplest thing, because everybody has some type of thing that they need to track. But something you think like in your head that you would like to create, play around with the tools, right? And then try to understand, like, okay, why would I use Anthropic versus Gemini versus OpenAI? There's just so many different ones. There's no right answer, but you just have to find out what works for you. So if you haven't, it's going to become a world where either you use AI or you get left behind, because AI makes things faster. Think about it. Who's smarter in the room? Like, you have a guy that's super smart, right? That knows, like, in his head, he knows how to do like all these different things, all these different programming languages. And then you take a guy who knows how to research, right? He may not know how to program in Python, but he knows how to get you the answer. Take the smartest guy in the room, but it takes him 2 weeks to come back with a solution, as to opposed to the guy that knows how to research and can come back to you within a day. Who truly is smarter, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Who can't afford any AI, what can I do to get started? Already used free options like GPT and Gemini. Now it does depend on your budget, right? I would say, I mean, most of these you can use underneath $30 a month. Let me come back. I would take a look at Open Router. Hopefully you can see my screen here. Open Router, long story short, what it is, it's a fallback chain of AI models, and they include free models as well. If I come over here, I'm going to go to my logs. And if you look at this cost situation, so I use Open Router. I can't go deep into it for this video. Maybe that's going to be another video. But essentially, actually, hold on. Let me go to presets. Not presets, routing. Okay, here we go. So Open Router has a model called Open Router /auto, where you set the allowed models. So I'm allowing DeepSeek, OpenAI GPT, Olama. Some of these are paid, some of these are free. And I think it goes from a top-down perspective. So this is a mixture. And so instead of just using DeepSeek for everything, what's going to happen is it's going to use the appropriate model and my cost is going to drop down significantly. Now, it also has a free model as well, which has several different models that it chooses the best one. Let me see if I can find, because I think I'm using auto for all of these. But even look at these cents right here. Like it's costing not much at all. But anyway, long story short, I would say take a look at like a 5-minute open router video. It'll explain it more than I can in this video, but that's a good way to get started. If you have a spare machine at home, you can use Olama, but you do need to have, a right amount of RAM. I would say if you can spare $30 a month, there are ways that you can start playing around with these AI tools. You can use a ChatGPT subscription. If you're in school, you can use, I think Google has a year free, I think, for Gemini. I could be wrong. I don't know deeply what I'm trying to make, but it takes time to expert developer to make it. It takes more time than an expert developer. Yeah, just think very small, like the smallest thing that you could think about. A newsletter, right? Or maybe there's a video game that you like. I'm not sure if you're a gamer. Maybe you want to make a website that's dedicated to a video game or a TV show. Think very small, very small. And then you just start talking to the tool and expanding your ideas more. Matter of fact, I'm gonna open up another tab really quick. Let me SSH into my machine. I'll give you a quick example. I'm going to change directory into my apps, change to the source. Let's make a directory. I'm going to say to-do list. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've already installed Claude, the CLI tool. So what I'm going to do is say Claude. And because I'm on a virtual machine, I'm going to say dangerously skip permissions. This is going to allow the tool to work autonomously instead of prompting me every time, like, are you sure? Do you want to do this? Blah, blah, blah. I can give it a series of commands and it'll automatically do it. But again, this is on a virtual machine. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay. And by the way, I'm using the $100 per month Claude subscription. They do have like $20 per month as well. The reason why I'm using the $100 a month is because I've used this tool enough to understand what I can do with it, and I view it as an investment. That's what I view it as. This is an investment in my skills, and if I get good enough, I can create websites like every single day if I wanted to. It just depends on how deep and how broad I want to go with my development. Okay. So now what I'll say is init is going to create this Claude. Is going to create this markdown file. Long story short, Claude is going to be able to understand the structure of what I'm building, as well as being able to save information on the memory of. So, but we'll let this create this thing. Oh wait, hold on. Searching for a pattern. Okay, yeah, so I'm still in this directory. Oh wait. Hold on. I don't think I changed over there. Changed to to-do list. There we go. All right, let me do that again. Oh, no problem. I like it being interactive. Like, that's how I best present, honestly. I don't do good at doing a lot of prep. I'm very much like on the fly when it comes to like talking about topics. So you're completely fine. Okay, so I'm going to say init. Okay, so I'm now going to tell it, okay, I usually like to say brainstorm. Before I have it just code, I say brainstorm a modern web app for a to-do list. Very simple. Okay, so now it's going to come back. It's going to talk about what's the recommended stack. Core features, tasks with due dates, drag and drop, optimistic UI, keyboard first navigation. blah, 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 blah. And I can tell it to do this. I'm going to say, hey, can we also have a Kanban style board as well? Kanban, Kanban, whatever you want to call it. All right, it's going to say this fits naturally. All right, why don't we go ahead and build this? Yes, go ahead and build this. And yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and start working on this in the background. The idea is that once it builds it, hopefully it goes ahead and starts up the application. If it doesn't, I can tell it to do it, and I'll be able to test out what the application looks like. From Georgia. I've been in Colorado though since 2015. So grew up in Georgia, but been out here ever since I was able to work remotely since 2014. The company I was working with was like, "Hey, you can live anywhere." And me and my wife decided to. We went to California first. We went to New York, and then we landed on Colorado. It was just the easiest place to live for us out of the those ones that we went to. It's easy to get from Denver to the airport. Super easy. It's not like a big crazy town. We also thought about Atlanta as well. Like we're mostly homebodies, so this worked out great for us, and it's great to be around the mountains as well. So. Yeah. And depending obviously on what you're doing coding wise, it's going to take some time. So we're going to let this work in the background. I'm going to come back over to my DeepFeedAI site. And let's see where I left that at. Feed inbox items visible in the story, view originals. Okay. Let me come back over here to my back end. Where's my back end? I think I lost my back end. Come back over here. All right. Let's come down here to the stories. Excuse me. Nice. Now it's creating, now the backfill is better. So AI cybersecurity, AI product tools, regulation, espionage. Ooh, I like that. Let's see if it's going to create these stories. Okay, it did create these different stories. They're a little broad, but I'm okay with that. Here's a cyber threats story. Let me come back to my site. Let's go over here. And now these are stories that can be followed now. So ransomware attacks. I love that. And so we have a view of a timeline horizontally, as well as the overall, this vertical timeline. German political party, China link storm. Okay, let's read the article. It's still linking to this for some reason. I don't know why. It's weird. But this gives me a way to quickly come in here. Data breaches. I like that. Hims and hers warns of data breach due to Zendesk. Snowflake customer targeted. Yeah. I might want to have these a little tighter as groupings, but I'm okay with this so far. All right. Let's see. Can you make any web app or SW with it? I see the token burning so fast. What's the limit? The token limit's going to depend on your model that you are using. I think I'm using Claude Sonnet. I don't know off the top of my head. I just know, for example, I can code all day, and I tend to not hit the limit. It's going to warn you if you've gotten past a certain limit and you can compact the conversation. So think about it as being summarized. You can also, what I like to do is tell the tool to save things to memory, because every often, I might go to bed and then I'll come back in the morning and it's burned like 500,000 tokens, but it can still code the application. It just depends on, because remember, every time you send a conversation to the agent, it's going to have the context of the conversation. So you're sending, as your conversation is going on, is growing and growing and growing. Compacting the conversation is very good. So normally what I do is I try to break up my application into different phases or features. And so I'll tell it to work on this feature, it'll create it, then I'll say compact the conversation, right? So it just depends on how much you're trying to have the tool do at once. That's why I recommend breaking it up, because once you add way too many tasks, the LLM can get confused. So you usually want it to work on one feature or one phase at a time. Let's go back to the terminal. Let's see where we're at. Now it's working on the Kanban board, and you can scroll up as well to see what it's done. And of course, if you have a coding background, you're going to understand, what it's doing here. But yeah, but yeah, you can make command line tools. You can make full web apps. You can make video games. So you can make Android, iOS games. You just need to have the right tools or be on the right operating system. So if you want to make an actual application for a Mac, well, you do need a Mac because you need the Xcode tools and things like that. But it can do all of these things. Anything a developer can do, this tool can do. I mean, think about it. It has the full curated knowledge of software development, and basically, depending on the model, it's going to be better or not. But just break things down into tasks. If I let me go ahead and let me open up my Visual Studio Code. Let me connect to my remote machine. There we go. And I'm in my apps, and here's the to-do list. And so now I can see the actual source code that it's working on. Right. So you can still see it. And if you have a developer background, you can come in here and obviously modify it as well. Excuse me. Just want to play around with the avatar stuff. But yeah, it just depends on what you want to make. Just start off very, very small. Like, you're going to start to realize the things that you can create. And the biggest thing is when you realize the time savings. Like, if you were to develop it completely by yourself, if time is money, these AI tools give you money back. Right? And it's just going to become that situation where you're a developer that does or doesn't use AI. If you don't use AI, you're going to get left behind. It's that new digital divide. Think about it as having a supercomputer, like in the back of your brain. Like, you're going to be able to do things so much faster, so much quicker. And yes, it recommended that stack. And you can always talk to the tool, and you can say, oh no, use this stack instead. So when you're creating these applications, you're going to get more use. You think about it as just having a conversation with a developer, a personal developer for you. That's what I like to think about it. If you can get out of the agent mindset and be like, hey, you have a personal developer, you can always tell it, oh, use this stack instead. And here's your agent file. Let's see, this was breaking changes, ABS, something that should know, blah, blah, blah. I think the agent files where you can set up rules for the tool. And I set this up before I did the init before there was any code, so I'll probably have it go back through this. You have environment variables, Prism, not sure what that is, but that's also the challenge too, is that this tool is writing code that necessarily you don't know about, right? Just thinking about it as being a personal open source project that you've never looked at the code. So it's going to be important to go through here, at least understand what it's doing, because if it does break, maybe there's a quick fix that you can do. It just depends on how good these tools are going to do. Honestly, I've seen these tools, because the way that I use it, I break everything down into a phase, and then I also tell it to do a code review as well. All right, let's go back to the code, see where it's at. The app is running, it says. So I need to open up this port. I think it's 3002. That's weird. Well, actually, I shouldn't need to do that. That's mostly for my DeepFeedAI. Let's do localhost. Well, not localhost. I need to do 192.168.194.302. And there we go. So this is what it's created, a very simple to-do list. And what you then want to do is you want to then click on, actually interact with the application, right? I can already see, obviously, there are some bugs. Let's see, can I edit? Can't edit, can't delete. What I'll do is I'll click inspect over here, and we can see we have some bugs over here already. And really can't filter. Let's see, Kanban. So a lot of buttons don't do anything. Let's see, does add task? Add task doesn't do anything. So it's not, this is very common, right? Because you're not giving it a whole bunch of rules. You're just saying, hey, go create this. You would never do this and say, go create it and now just go release this to production. You do want to do some testing. So I'm going to go ahead, copy this. I'm so soon. I think this project will jump to first and then just yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can watch a tutorial all day long, but getting your hands on these tools, that's going to be the biggest thing. Is watching an intro tutorial is completely fine, but some things aren't going to click until you try to put your hands on it, right? So what was I going to say? Let me see, can I open up the port again? I don't know why that didn't work. 302. Yeah, bind permission. That doesn't make any sense. All right, let me come back over here. Let me see, bugs, console error. And what I do is I just paste the full console message in there, so it can understand what's happening. I could even say, hey, none of the buttons work or something like that. This is part of the communication with the tool, the back and forth. But yeah, a 15-hour tutorial sounds painful. I'm losing focus after 30 minutes, to be honest. Let's see. This browsers connecting via, but it doesn't allow the origin for hot reload by default. Okay, it did fix that. Okay, let's do a refresh. Okay, there we go. So it was an issue with the port. So now this task does open. Right task. Let's see. Can I add a task? Yes. Take out the trash. And of course, I need to fix the font style. There's a new item. There's the Kanban board. Things can't be dragged, so that's something. I'll definitely say do a dark mode as well. So let's say come back over here to the tool. I usually like to say, hey, that worked. Enhancements, :1, dark mode, default, 2, improved colors, currently hard to see gray text on white background, 3, draggable cards on Kanban. And yeah, let's just stick with that for right now. Yeah, that's one of the most frustrating things, right? Starting a tutorial and then not finishing. That can lead to overall frustration of why aren't you getting it? Why aren't you clicking it? It's nothing wrong with you at all. It's just tutorials are honestly, they're boring. They're not most tutorials aren't engaging, at least for me. I do so much better when I put my hands on tools or put hands to keyboard or whatnot. Like, don't be afraid to try something, right? You have to. I would definitely recommend if you can spare 20, let's say $50 for the month at the most, right? If you can spare that, think about it as investing in yourself. You're investing in yourself to learn these tools and learn where the future is going with software development. It's a small price to pay for the education and the knowledge that you're going to get. Every day, what I like to say is, I want to know more today than I learned yesterday. And putting $20, $40, whatever, into a subscription, think about it, for a month, I know a lot more now about these AI tools, as opposed to if I just white knuckled it through with tutorials and I just really wasn't getting my hands on these things. And then the benefit is that you can create a GitHub repository, and then you can curate a list of applications that you have created with these tools. Excuse me, sorry. That's just my recommendation because I've just learned so much by actually using these tools. And it's going to start off as a pain point. Like you're not going to know, it's going to be confusing about the tokens and the models and all these things. But think about it as water cooler talk. The more that you utilize it, the more that you talk about it, the more that you just are around this, things are just going to make more sense for you. I can make a tutorial video, but it's going to be based off of my experience, not your experience. So that's just my recommendation. Get your hands on the tools, try to create something, and do it for about a week. I guarantee you, the troubles that you had when you first started, a week later, you're going to be off to the races. You're going to now you're going to have a better workflow of creating applications, even if it's something small. Document if that is helpful, because you're going to see your own progress. That's the biggest thing. All right. It's improving the HTML elements, and it is working on the ability for me to drag the cards. This is a great thing. You can see the get differences and whatnot. And definitely like create a repository if you're working with these AI tools. That way, you can create its own pull requests as well. You can see the history. Yeah, I've just gotten to the point where I'm able to give it a task. I give it a singular task for the most part, then also say break down into phases if it does seem a little bit more monolithic. Excuse me. But yeah, software development, it's not going back. Like it's not going backwards. Like this is the worst these AI tools are going to be. Today, this is the worst it's going to be. So it's only going to improve. So you do yourself a detriment by not learning these tools. It's like anything in programming and software development. You have to learn the new thing if you want to be employable, hireable, create your own business as well. You have to go with the speed of competition. And right now we're at the point where everybody's competing with each other, and but we also all have the same tools. Now obviously some people are going to have more financing and funding to use the latest, greatest, most expensive models, but there's always a customer, right? Like you don't need to build the greatest thing ever. You just need to find one problem and a customer base that problem helps. That's the thing. Like there's a full opportunity for any developer to become an entrepreneur. I don't say that easily. I just say it that the opportunity is there. You can't say, no one can say now that I can't build an application, right? That doesn't mean you're coding it by hand, but no one can say now I can't build an application. You totally can. It may not be as professionally polished, but you can build an application. And it's you have to take your mindset from being a developer, and this is me just being honest. I'm not a developer anymore. I'm an architect. That's what I am. I'm an architect. I'm thinking and I'm planning the application, and I'm using AI to write that application. That's where you have to change the shift, and you have to be humble. These tools are going to be able to code better than I ever could and ever can. That's just a fact. Yes, it's going to make mistakes, but it could do things faster than I can. So you have to shift your idea from being a developer to being an architect to being a team lead to being a manager, because you're managing these agents. If you can shift that, I think that's going to be the it's going to just help you with this change in in the environment. It's still good to know code. It absolutely is, because these tools are going to write things that you don't even understand. Um, but man, it's just that's where I see it. I do not call myself a software developer anymore. I do not say, "Oh, I made this application." I don't say I coded this application. I don't. I'm humble enough to say, well, I did think about this. I architected it out because that's what's going to be unique. That's what every developer has in their pocket is we can be more creative now, and we don't have to sit at the keyboard anymore. Do you work for any computer? Do you work for any company? Yeah, I do. I do have a 9 to 5 job. As far as software security, so I do work with a. I do work for a company that we have software security tools that help scan for vulnerabilities, helps understand remediation for developers. Um, and I've been working with that company for about 4 to 5 years now, but I've been in this industry since 2012, and I stopped being a developer in around 2015 for the most part. So I made the shift a long time ago. I saw the writing on the wall a long time ago that as far as a junior developer, that was always going to be on the chopping block as far as how I was able to see these tools from an automated perspective automatically identify vulnerabilities, automatically fix vulnerabilities, provide code suggestions. So I've seen that a long time coming. Okay, so I have now refreshed. We see the task board, and now we do have a dark mode. Let's see. This might be something that came with the underlying framework here, but we do have the dark mode. I do have the Kanban board. Look at that. We can um, drag around, automatically closes, active, done. So as far as like this is the simplest application that you can make. This is just a simple task management board, right? And then you start to think about, okay, what else can I do? Can I do email notifications? Can I add images to it? Blah, blah, blah. Can I hook AI into it? You start off with a very simple idea, then you just start building it up, building it up, building it up. Oh, thanks. Like it's one of those like when I first made the change from a developer to a security analyst, it was scary, right? You go from one industry to another, but being a security analyst, I was it allowed me to see long term where things were going. And it also allowed me to see personally, again, I had already felt developer wise, I was already getting burnout. I was tired of doing the same hello world thing, like creating the same thing, but having to learn it in a different language. It was getting tedious. Like, okay, now I wanna create this or do a 3 tier application, or create object notation, but I need to learn it in another programming language. It just got very boring. So security is just very interesting because you're always, at least for me, I'm on the defensive side of the house. So you're always having to react. But then when you're also researching on the offensive side, what are attackers doing? It's an ever evolving Rubik's Cube. So you're never bored. Like it's always interesting, like how attackers are able to find their ways into systems. Or you hear about, oh, an attacker has been in this Fortune 500 company for months behind the scenes, aggregating information, exfiltrating information. It's very, very interesting because attackers are always thinking in ways that you just cannot defend against, right? What's the old joke that a developer is coding a bar application, right? They say, a person walks into a bar, they order a beer, order 2 beers, orders 3 beers, orders a Coke, orders a appletini, orders this or that, right? Then the end of the joke is that a person goes into a bar, uses the bathroom, the bar explodes. Right? It's just one of those you're focused so much on these little things, but attackers can they have time, they have patience, they have automated tools that can just sweep across all of these company databases. They can look for passwords that are just out there. I just find software security just so interesting, and it keeps my brain sharp. So I can still script, if I need to automate things. But oh yes, you can never predict 100% of how a customer is going to use your application. You just can't. Okay, let me go back to my site. Feed inbox. Blah, 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 blah. Come back over here. I think I finished where I was at. Go back to the stories. Yeah, so we did have the stories. Oh, the bug was that these should be external links. Yes. Right. Bug. Um, Curated sources still try to point as articles on the site within the stories. Excuse me. Oh, like this little next button over here. So yeah, so this is my little DeepFeed AI site. These are stories that a user is following, but this is all automated at this point. On the back end, it just periodically is looking for new stories. It's going to create articles. They do need to meet a threshold. If I come over here to, let's see, I have a singular pitch. This is an AI writer called Amara. She follows a specific category, and this is an article that she wants to pitch. Um, I do have, let's see, you can approve it, you can enrich it, so you can add additional stories here. So you can search the web for stories, or I can search from items that have already been curated and add them to the sources. Because again, I'm thinking like a newsroom. A journalist wouldn't just, well, ideally, shouldn't just post a story with one source. They want a primary source and secondary sources. So that's the idea, is that the stories need to meet a threshold. So this is a pitch for my writer. So I'm going to say approve this. And she's going to work in the background. If I go to my editor or the editorial section, these are stories that did not meet a threshold, excuse me, for a certain reason. And so these are the editor notes, and I can come in and just reject these, or I can request a revision on these stories. I'm just going to quickly see, does any of these I want to go forward with? U.S. market surge and mistake claim. This doesn't seem to be an AI story, so I'm going to reject this, or a text story at least. See clear conclusions, so referential links. Petascale developments, accelerated research. Let's request a revision on this one. And these other ones, I don't like these stories, so I'm just going to reject these. Reject. Rerun a review on this. Figure out what happened there. Let's go to the activity. And then you can just see what's happening in your newsroom is the idea. The brief, this is a daily stand-up notification that lets me understand like how much AI usage I'm using, and then the overall like articles, how many sources I've ingested. Just gives me an idea of kind of what's happening in my newsroom right here and the cost. Let's go to my AI usage. I do have a BYOK, or bring your own key situation. This is what I've used so far. I think for the month so far, $17. There's definitely ways that I can bring this cost down. There's just a lot happening in the background. It's doing automated AI images. It is feeding a lot of articles to prompts. So, and I can and I can cut down the automation as well. So it just does depend. All right, go back to the editorial. Let's see. And this editorial still does not pass the threshold, so I'm going to reject this article. I'm going to go to my articles here. What's this one? So recommended digital world. This week AI drew lines. Let's do a preview. And you can quickly just preview the article, see what's going on there. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in review and approve it. And here's an Anthropic one as well. Okay. Let's do a refresh. And then here's the editor picks section. So this rotates. The featured articles and the editor picks rotate just based off of the an automation scoring essentially. Let's go to the trends. And I need to work on the trends a little bit. This is just based off of keyword searching, like what's kind of showing up. Let's go to the pulse. Yeah, I am interested in what this pulse is going to look like after about a month, because hopefully more articles align underneath these different stories. The video section, this is where I can add videos on the back end that might be important to users. This is just using my YouTube API key. And then here are my different AI writers. So you can follow writers. So when they create stories, you're going to get notification pop-ups like this. So I do have a newsletter as well. This goes out every Monday. So you get a newsletter on stories that have been published from this site. Let's go back to the stories. Breach, AI regulation. Let's go back to the data breach. Well, actually, let's go to cyber espionage. China linked. Hackers exploit GitHub for command and control. Hijack DNS. Yeah, I really do like this section. So I do need to fix the font a little bit. Trackable. There's a scroll wheel here. Need to fix this scrolling. Is it side scrolling? Yes. There we go. Now it's fixed that external link. So now all of these, if it is a external link, you can actually go to the original source. So I do like this timeline. I think this is more helpful. And there's, yeah, there we go. It's weird. So by default, it does the digest. Okay, hold on. In the stories, the active tab digest or timeline is black font and hard to see. Let's see what it looks like on the light mode is broken. Light mode is broken. All right, so it's going to fix that style. But overall, this is a feature that I had it work on today. I do like it. Cybersecurity threats. And this should be an article. Nice. So that's a full, ooh. Oh, that's just sources. Interesting. Recap. Okay, let's see if he wrote a full article here. That was April 16th. And I do have this AI audio summary. This is created with 11 Labs, so I do have integration with that. Okay. Regulation. AI integration faces trust gap. OpenAI's economic proposals. Public safety. I'm just making sure these articles are. And a deep dive. These are things that I have weekly that the AI agent will, based off their beat or category they're following, they're going to try to do a deep dive for the week. Nice. Correct. Yes, it is an 11 Labs integration. If I come, let me close these tabs to the right. If I come over here to settings and I go to integrations, we have the 11 Labs API key that I save here. And then for every writer, if I go to my AI team, if I click on my writer, then what happens is you give the writer a voice ID for 11 Labs. Not bad. I use like the cheapest subscription for 11 Labs, but this allows your writer to have a voice if you want them to summarize an article that they've written. I need to work on it a little bit more, but the idea is that you could come to the main page and just click on, there'd be a play button. So you can just click on the article and you'd have an audio player at the bottom, but you can also listen to it within the article. 1 second, I'm gonna turn my mic back on. Excuse me. Yeah, so I do have automation set up, but I do need to fix it. But the idea is because I'm trying to figure out like the cost. Like if I do it for every article, it might cost a lot more than I think. But it can be automated. Long story short. But I haven't played around with it in about 2 weeks. But I do have different automations. So if I come up to settings and I go to automation, I have this autopilot button. So all these different automation things that I have, such as featured article rotation. I have scheduled tasks for when it's going to search the RSS feeds, when it's going to do a live news search, and I can set when that happens. So right now for the RSS, it's every 15 minutes, live news search every 30 minutes. Just a whole bunch of different things. Deep dives, that happens every Sunday. Let's see, do I have one for audio? Yeah, audio generation. I don't think I have this working right now. I think this automation might be broken. I need to take a look at that, but it can be. Long story short, it can be. And if I wanted to do it manually, I can come over to any article and I can click this audio button. And let's see. 1 second. 1 second. I need to grab my desktop audio. Let me add a settings, audio, and let me add my headphones.
Okay. And now let me press play. Test. And hopefully you're able to hear that. And let me come back over to my home page. Let's click on. Oh, and I need to enable it. Because the idea is that you may have bad audio, so you don't want to have it automatically enabled on your site or your page, so you can turn it on and off individually. Let's come back over here. So now here's a play button. Yep. So the idea is that if I enabled it for every single one of these articles, it would just be a play button. So you wouldn't even have to dive into the article in order to hear a quick summary. This echo? Hold on. Yeah, because I think I'm just going off of my microphone. So give me one moment. Let me go to the audio. Let me turn my headset off.
And then I think what I need to do for my browser is I need to grab the audio from my browser. Okay. All right, let me try this again.
Anthropic's meteoric rise to a potential $900 billion valuation is shadowed by a critical database deletion incident and the escalating dual-use capabilities of its Mythos model, revealing the inherent paradoxes of advanced AI.
Hopefully that sounded better, because before it was coming through my headphone audio, which also I think included my mic or whatnot. But yeah, and then I have this caption that you can, when you play it.
Anthropic's meteoric rise to a potential $900 billion valuation is
Nice. So yeah, so that's the idea, is just you can have an audio summary. In the future, I think I'm going to try to maybe integrate with HeyGen, where my writer avatar, you would actually see them animate as they're talking. But it's not needed. It's a nice to have. It just gives it more personality. Is the idea. But yeah, so that's the integration with 11 Labs. Let's go back to the stories. Let's see, did it fix it? Okay, there it is. And it did fix that little digest and timeline. Nice. Light mode still isn't working. For dark override use. I'm not too concerned with light mode right now. I can fix that later. But yeah, so this is something I wanted to add today. I feel this is adequate. It's a good way to be able to keep up with a story. Still might want to hone it down a little bit more, but I can always come in to these stories and I can even create my own story, which is what I like. So I think this site has matured. It started off with a very simple idea, and I just kept building it up. I've been working on this for probably over a month and a half, I would say. And every day I'm like, okay, what's a new feature that I can do? What's this feature that I can do? Um, like this storyboard, I might just get rid of. There's no functional usage of it, but you can see the stories and the different articles that connect to the story. So I thought this might little be fun in the background. Again, thinking like a journalist, like visually seeing your stories. So I'm ready to get hired in the next 6 months. CS graduate from Bangladesh. I'm gonna be honest. Degrees aren't required. They're not required. I would definitely say, I'm not putting them down. I mean, maybe certain jobs will require them, but I would definitely say start building up a portfolio of applications you have created. You have to get your hands on these tools. You're going to learn more by playing with these tools than just taking a CS class. I'm gonna be absolutely honest. Because remember, the class is an isolated structure based off what's already been predetermined for that class, which is probably already a year in advance. You're going to learn more by actually using AI, watching YouTube videos as far as the news of AI. I wouldn't say you need to dive into all these different tutorials, but use social media, use YouTube to just understand, okay, what's happening this week in AI? What's happening this week in software security or programming or things like that? And then from a development perspective, if you want to remain a developer, just start building applications. Your first applications are going to be crap, going to be honest. Like, until you learn your workflow with these tools, then curate a list of portfolios. And then eventually just create a YouTube channel or something and talk about your projects. That's what I'm doing right now. That is my goal, is to talk about things that I am developing, because it's going to make it more personal to you, and this is water cooler talk, right? Eventually I'm hoping that I can start using my site to talk about what's happening in AI this week. Like, I can look at these stories that my AI writers are creating and, okay, let's talk about what's happening this week. But yeah, as far as CS classes, I mean, if you're determined to go down that road, just yeah, general computer science degree is going to give you an overall foundation. But I think the developer route, like traditional development, is just going away. So I look at those leadership roles. Compliance is a very good thing to be in, because AI compliance and regulation is something that is going to be extremely important, and I think that's going to be a good career field to be in. But as far as regular development, just create something very, 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 very small, and then add on to it, and then add on to it, and then talk about it, showcase it, showcase what you're working on, because it's just going to make it more personal to you. And I would just highly recommend, like, if you're able to spare like 20 to 30 bucks, look into one of these subscriptions by OpenAI, Gemini, Anthropic. Just really think about it as you're investing in yourself. Are you willing to invest $20, $30, $50 a month into your education with AI? Because otherwise, what you're going to do is you're just going to find a YouTube video, or you're going to pay for a course anyway. You have to make it personal for you. So that's my recommendation. Don't know if that helps, but you said get your CPA high, fill the trap. Yeah, I saw it a long time ago. I mean that's the thing. I saw it a long time ago that eventually bachelor degrees were going to become associate's degrees. But even now, it's what you're learning in school. It's not keeping pace with the industry, and by its very nature, it can't keep pace with the industry. It's impossible. So for you, you have to really invest in yourself, and what that is getting your hands on these tools. Uh, that's that's just my recommendation. That's just what I've seen. And by utilizing AI and working on an application specifically for a month to 2 months, I feel I've grown so much and I've learned so much in a short amount of time. Because people can tell you about tokens all day long, until you start seeing the burn rates, it doesn't make sense to you. Or, oh, you should be using this AI model, or this AI model is smarter, or this AI model is cheaper. Until you start actually using it for an application, it's not going to make sense for you. So again, like I said, I burned like $300 easily in my first month of using like these AI tools that I didn't understand. But now that I do, I understand how to get it to break down an application more into bite-sized chunks. So, so yeah. So sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but hopefully that was helpful. I'm gonna go ahead and this is gonna be the end of my stream, because I did solve the issue that I wanted, and that is adding stories to my site. Feel free. It's deepfeedai.com. I still have a lot of work to do. And the idea is that I can create other sites from this. So I can even create a wrestling site. Let's see, wrestleworld.com. Because it's going to be a multi-tenant environment. And the idea is that it can go out and find stories based off the niche that you create. So I might create one for wrestling because I'm a huge wrestling fan, but it can create those as well. And it just ends up being a sub-site. I'm probably going to create one for politics as well. But right now I'm focusing on my general, the front-facing deepfeedai.com. But every day I'm working on this, and I'm like, okay, what else can I add to it to make this site unique? And it's been really fun. Matter of fact, here's something I'm going to say. What is one killer feature that can help? What is one killer feature that would be useful for the front end for user engagement? And this is just a generic statement, and it's going to look at the site and see, can it come up with a killer feature? And we'll give it a moment. And I think the great thing too about these tools is, especially if you use different like channels, like because you can talk it to it via like Claude, because it has a mobile app too. It can hook into your repository. You can talk to these agents while you're away from your computer. Like you can talk to it while you're out at a restaurant or just out in the world. So you no longer have to be stuck to your actual computer. So let's see what it says. One killer feature. Personalized reading streak with a daily digest. Show a streak number on the home page. The proven pattern, Duolingo, GitHub contributions, Wordle, turns passive reading into a goal people return to maintain. That sounds like a killer feature, and I could have it, go forward and work on that if I wanted to. I'm not going to, because I think I've done enough for today. I need to let the site be stable for a while. But yeah, so creativity, that's the future. Is that now no one can say I can't create a website. Not saying that you developed / coded it, but you can develop. You can have a website created that is unique to your creative ideas. So believe in yourself, go forth, play around with these tools, and I'm sure you're going to create something awesome. So I know it's scary, like things are changing very fast, but as developers, we have to change with the times, and times are changing. So, all right, I am out. Thanks for dropping by. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.